You're tuning in to Barski-Lyn Adventures. Welcome to our little corner of the bookish community.
Hello, beautiful people of the Bookish Persuasion. Thank you so much for joining us today as we talk about reading, writing, and publishing. I am C.H. Lynn. With me, as always, is my refined co-host,
Tracy Barski. I need a cup with my pinky to be refined.
To be fancy. We are readers, writers, mothers, and wives, and we are here today discussing the close of 2024. Sending it out. This is going to be our last episode of the year, folks. And then we will pick up again with you guys in January. Thanks for staying with us on this roller coaster of a podcast.
Yeah.
We were like, cool, we're going to release an episode every 2 weeks, and this will be our 16th episode total. That math does not math.
Well, I mean, there were a couple of times we went a little longer than 2 weeks, but still.
A couple times and then a huge gap in the middle of the year.
Well, summertime, it makes sense. It's fine.
Tracy moved. We had a book bash,
No.
and also Tracy moved to a different state.
No.
And then I was gone multiple times over the summer. And then I was in California for 2.5 weeks in October. So it's been 24 was just a truly hectic year, I think, for you more than me, but also for me in certain ways. 25 is not going to be any less hectic.
True, but hopefully there won't be a job loss and relocation for me. There will be a relocation for you.
Yes, but not a job loss.
Job loss related. So,
Job related.
harurura on that.
For those who don't know, I'm moving to Ohio in the summer for a little bit. I'll be there for like 3 years. That's it. And we're going to be back in Colorado. But
The way you said that, like, I'm moving in the summer for a little bit, that would most times sound like 3 months, 6 months, something like that. 3 years.
it's a little bit.
Is a little. It's a bit of a little bit. It's
I'm
a little
31.
bit of a bit.
That's like a tenth of my life. That's a little bit.
You're such a baby.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You're not that much older than me. We've already discussed this on here. You're like, what,
I know,
5 years older than me? That's not a lot. 31, folks.
I'm almost 37 though.
Okay.
Gonna be 37 soon.
My favorite podcasters
Just
are
saying.
36
Just
to
saying.
38. Yeah. We're in the same decade. That's not a huge difference.
For now.
For-
I'm almost 40, man.
We're within 10
fine.
years of each other is kind of what I meant there.
Everybody. True.
Everybody relax. Okay, so 2024. We'll talk about 2025 at the start of 2025 or maybe the end of this episode a little bit. But let's go over a little bit of the highlights. We started a podcast. That's a highlight for me.
What? Did we? I didn't
did.
know.
Yeah.
No idea.
Barski-Lyn Adventures, which I think is a really fun name. We had fun coming up with that. Oh, spent a bunch of money on podcasting equipment. Got a podcast up and kind of running. I think we did all right. It was first year. We both have small children.
Yeah.
You moved. I think we gave it the old college try for this first year.
Honestly, I think it goes beyond college try because I feel like inevitably college try means you failed after giving a big effort.
Okay.
Whereas this feels like
I tried college.
The rocky start of something new that we've never done before. And so
There you go.
there's bound to be some hiccups. I think for our first year, we've done pretty dang well. I think for like what we've talked about, what we've covered, figuring out unforeseen complications like a cross-country move, that kind of thing.
learning how to edit, learning how to record, learning how to do audio stuff, which we're still working on. That's still an in-process event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we did well. I think we, especially those like core first 5 episodes, I think we gave people who are unfamiliar with the writing journey a lot of insight. And that was kind of I mean, again, it's for, it's in the intro.
Readers, writers, and
Reading, writing, and publishing. And I think we've hit those marks in terms of what we've talked about and hopefully who we've helped. And
yeah,
it's been fun.
I mean, there's a lot of information, and the path is different for every person, and so, yeah, it's. I think we've done well for where we were starting from.
Yeah, for sure. Which is 0. Started at baseline.
Yeah.
Started at, we don't know anything about this.
Yeah, and in that whole mix, we did. We both released books.
Multiple books. Yeah.
Wrote books.
A busy year.
I mean, I released 2 books. You released multiple books.
2 is multiple.
Yeah, but in comparison,
You know what?
2 versus
2 is multiple.
However-
Ma'am. Madam.
yep.
Miss.
Anyways, I would say I've released a couple of books. Cheyenne has released multiple.
How many have
In
I
the
released?
midst of all of the things.
I guess technically Damon came out in January, but I didn't, like, all of the stuff for it was done
We're talking
before the new
release,
year.
not written. Because I finished.
okay.
Well, I guess I did some rewrites on Love Undercover the beginning of
Well,
this
then I
year
only
and
put out
still
4.
released it. But
I put out 4 books this year.
if I'm not
one of
allowed
them's Spooky
to
Cat, and
minimize
one of
my
them is A Voice in the
accomplishments, if
Tower.
I'm not allowed to minimize my accomplishments, neither are you.
And I put out a whole 4 books this year. It's exciting. It is exciting.
Yeah.
And we may be putting out another one. Fingers crossed.
This year?
Though probably not until January. So never mind.
Putting out another book this year?
No, not until January. I just fixed it. I fixed what I said. I said the wrong words.
Oh, I was like, well, and I thought we had a February 14th goal for that one. I thought that's what we were planning. Isn't that what we talked about?
No,
For those
I
of
thought
you
we did that last
listening-
year. You did that last year with your rom-com, February
This
14th.
year, yeah.
I did not realize
Yeah.
we were doing that. Yep.
No, we totally talked about it. We were like, this would be a
forgot.
great thing to hype for. It's whatever. We do what we want.
For
So
those curious.
we're doing a wrap up, a 2024 wrap up with your hosts. So what did we accomplish this year? How many signings did we do? I did like 2 or 3 with you. And then the book bash, and she's done a buttload, and that is a
I have
scientific
done a buttload.
term.
Scientific term.
For. Yep.
I taught my kids Googleplex a while ago. Like Lupe and I were having an argument, a pretend argument, and I was like, "Well, a Googleplex," and he was like, "That's not a real number," and I was like, "It is in fact a very real number," and it is, and he knows it is. But anyway, and so the kids keep saying Google Plus. And I'm like, that is a different thing. That's not the number.
Yep.
Nope, that's not what it is.
I like
Anyway,
it.
I've done a Googleplex of signings. Now, I think I've done like Barnes and Noble signings. You know what? No, screw it. I'm not going to try to differentiate. I think I've done like a dozen this year events.
Yeah.
And then I have 4 more this year. I have
That's wild. And I've had 0 because I don't know what's happening around me, which I feel like once you start getting into the circuit, you start finding out about stuff before they happen. But right
when
now
you're
I
not
don't
in the
have
circuit,
any connections.
You're learning about events 2 days before the event happens. And that's kind of impossible.
Exactly. And so it's been, even when I'm actively trying to search stuff out, I'm like, I can't find information.
We'll get there.
So
It's a process.
we'll
I mean,
see.
it was a process for us here too.
Yeah.
You know, so
I feel like once we made our own event, it was like suddenly we found out about all the other things that were going on. And probably partly because of the connection with other local authors who then pass on information about other events and whatnot.
which you're starting to dive into, you know, and I
Yeah.
think diving into all that with being in Tennessee for less than a year is pretty impressive. That feels like the kind of thing where most people take. You're a homeschool mom. Like this feels like the kind of thing where most people in your shoes would take more time to start making those connections and finding those people and aiming to find those events. Even like there's a level of, if you're not looking, you won't find it. And even if what you're seeing right now is all stuff that's coming up in a week and you cannot apply for, the fact that you're looking suggests that when stuff is going to come up, you'll find it. I'm proud of you, is what I'm trying to say. It was a really rough time, I feel like, the move in general, and then also not having that community, and that's kind of what I'm scared of for moving to Ohio.
Yeah.
But
At
that's
least
25.
will we be in the same time zone, or is Ohio in Eastern?
If we're not, then I'm going to be ahead of you. What is
Right.
Ohio? Let me look it up right now, actually.
Because
In the
we're
meantime,
we're
you
kind of on the
tell-
edge.
Let people know what you published. Let's talk about what you published in 24.
I
Give a
published
brief.
books.
Thanks.
I published.
It's Eastern. I'm going to be an hour ahead of you.
Okay. I published 2 books.
Cool.
Which I feel like the hour ahead might play in your favor, actually in our favor.
Yeah, just given our schedule.
Because I have a little bit more flexibility because I homeschool, and I just refigured out my whole schedule earlier this morning, so I've got my life figured out. So I published Love Undercover, which is a suspense rom-com that gradually gets more serious as you get through the book.
but still with funny bits.
Still has the
bits and jokes
vibe.
and one-liners. Yeah.
Yeah, it still has the vibe. It's a little bit lighthearted in certain ways. So that came out in February, and then I released. Sorry, I'm very yawning today.
You're good.
Daylight
You're yawning.
savings
I'm
time.
stretching. We're fine. It's
Daylight
fine.
savings time, folks. I really hope we've saved the time now because I'm tired of trying to save it.
I'm actually really happy with light in the morning. I don't like not having light in the evening, but getting up at 6 and having it start to be light outside is so much easier to get up.
Yeah, that makes
Anyway.
sense.
Anyway,
Yeah, I've never been particularly bothered by earlier darkness.
yeah.
I just don't like having to change the time and adjust.
Yeah,
because
going
it
back and
messes it. Because when you're a parent, it doesn't
We're
just
so off
mess
track.
with you.
Okay, so
But,
Love Undercover came out
yes.
February,
Unborn Rising came out in September.
which arguably you
And-
put out a full 1.5 books because you had such a hand in War of the Unborn. You did the full edit, you did the full proofread, you did the full cover. You were a huge, I mean, it's your world, so all of the backstory and world building and stuff was all stuff that I just drew off of you. So that to me very much feels like, you know, at least a quarter, if not half, of the process was
Sure.
Barski. So
Sure, I'll allow it, I guess. And in the
because
meantime,
you know I won't let you not allow it.
yes, yep.
Cool.
And also in the meantime, drafting, being in the process of drafting a couple of different books that, you know, I was trying to find my footing on what story I wanted to write next. So I wrote a significant chunk actually in a fantasy. I have a significant chunk in a romantic suspense. We
Shocker.
have a few chapters in on Kiss or Kill. We have
5.5 chapters. We're doing good.
Yeah, and I've got little starts to a couple of other books that, you know, we'll see what
Yeah.
order I take some of those other things. We decided to prioritize Kiss or Kill, and
Yeah.
also our two others, like my romantic suspense and her Miss Bell's Travel Guides
Yes.
book, so that we can
So we can be
line
drafting
ourselves
at the
up.
same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a
And line up the right kind of releases to put out, you
yes,
know.
that's that too. There's been a I feel like a lot of authors talk about writer's block and talk about imposter syndrome, and plenty of people talk about burnout. I don't know what you and I had for a couple months there, because it feels like it wasn't burnout.
It was
Because burnout,
all the things.
yeah, I feel like we had to go into a hibernation for a little while.
I think some of it was burnout, but I think some of it was also lack of clear direction, because
Yeah.
you have multiple series that you're kind of in the midst of, and that means you've got a lot
The stress
like a lot of
like,
pressure.
Abradia especially, I think, is the one where it keeps coming into my head. It keeps popping up, like book 3, all the different ideas and dialogue and scenes. And I think a part of me is scared to write it. You know the ending, you know why. And also just that series is my heart and soul.
Right.
And they all are, right? All the books, but that one
But
specifically.
there's a level, just like with
Yeah.
Unborn Rising, even though the Cassidy books were my start and they're the ones that are the most popular. Unborn Rising was something that I wrote many
You wrote
years
that with your
before.
whole soul.
And so that one meant more. And so then since I finished it, like I feel like your situation is that like you're afraid to finish it because it'll be over. And for me, I finished it and then I was sort of like unmoored, you know?
Yeah. Well, and you don't have multiple. We had the opposite problem, but it had the same result, which was you were like, cool, I have literally all of the options in the world ahead of me. And I was like, cool, I have like 4 things that I have to finish.
Yeah. And then with a great big life upset, which obviously
For both of us.
I moved
because
away,
my best friend moved
and
to
that
Tennessee.
yeah. And so that has a huge impact when you're already kind of in a funky spot.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's hard too, because I do have several ideas that are connected to series that I have, but there's no actual direct line between
Yeah, it's not like the final
what
book in
I've
a
put out.
trilogy or a sequel.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so there's a completeness in what is out, but there's still dangling threads that
People
know.
want answers. Anyway,
They do.
beautiful. So you did those two,
So-
and most of like a good chunk of War, not the writing itself, but the process of it. Let's see. In January, I put out Damon Goes to Peru, and then February we were celebrating Love Undercover. My brain just completely froze for
Oh, yeah.
half of a second there. I feel like we do a good job of staggering our release dates on purpose or lining them up so that they perfectly like coincide.
Yeah.
Put out Voice in the Tower next. A Voice in the Tower came next,
Or
which
was
is
it
the
Spooky Cat
sequel.
2?
Didn't Spooky Cat 2 come out in October of last year?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Cool. I might have done 5 this year. Spooky
I
Cat
don't
3, I
remember.
know, came out in August. And then A Voice in the Tower came out over the summer, and Voice is a sequel to Song of the Deep, and they are both, I need to stop saying retellings because they're really kind of not. Inspired by fairy tales. They're fairy tale inspired. Oh, and Carly came up with a great pitch for them. Popcorn reads. Fairy tale inspired popcorn reads that are quick and
Interesting.
easy and fluffy and make you feel good.
Fluffy.
And I was like, that's kind of perfect because, I was getting some negatives about the length of the stories and how they finished too quickly. And I'm like, yeah, they're novellas, guys. Anyway.
Yeah, they're meant to be that way. Which
and
I
then
felt
War
like
of the Unborn. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
reading them myself, it's not like they felt incomplete or like you suddenly ended anything.
I do appreciate you saying that. I think when I do the special editions, I'm going to go in and I might add to them a little bit, maybe add like an extra scene here or there for the special edition. Be like it's got exclusive content in there. But I honestly don't know.
Spooky Cat 2 says
where.
January 31st, 2024.
Okay, cool. So it was Damon, Spooky Cat 2, Voice in the Tower, War of the Unborn, which it's dedicated to my husband because the male main character, Ollie, is my husband insert character. Not my self insert, my husband insert character.
Sure.
And low key Anthony in Abradia is also, but not nearly as much. There's way more changes to that character in terms of personality and whatnot. Anthony looks more like my husband.
Take parts of my husband and insert them into every male main character I write.
There you go. Yeah. I think Anthony is the physicality. He looks like my husband in like my husband's. Anyway. And then in my mind's eye is where I was going with that. And then Ollie is like the mental fortitude and the work ethic and just the way that his mind works and all of that was very much an ode to my husband. But where I was going with that is that I think I put, for me, writing War was putting my love for you into a book. Just to like be, we have Love is Murder. We have that writing connection. We always will. But the excitement level that I had listening to you talk about that world, and then you taking my excitement and like, okay, and just fully running with it to rewrite a book that you hadn't touched in a decade is like, matching my vibe. Is matching the vibe. And I really wanted to do that with writing War and just pour as much of my heart that like belongs to you into the book. So there was that. I'm getting emotional. I need more coffee.
I could tell. I can see it on your face.
Great. I love that. I love that for me and everybody who watches it on YouTube. I'm so pleased.
Except they might not recognize it for what it is because they don't know you like I do.
I mean, I did go pink. I could see it also. Yeah,
just for clarification, folks,
I wasn't crying.
An ooey gooey marshmallow, and the
only difference between me and
cry
Miss
on
Bell
the inside
is that
I cry on the inside.
Cry on the outside. Miss Bell for sure, very rarely. Sorry, a reference to another book. Anyway, so that was the year so far. It's November 5th today. Whoop whoop. This will come out probably next week. Oh, what a day. Anyway, that's been the year so far. The last month, Tracy and I have been working on a total of 3 projects between the two of us. One of them, you have not announced the title of yet,
Correct.
is that suspense romance that I know the entire plot of, as well as the title and the cover. Helped come up with the title, might I say, during a sleepover at, 12:30 at night? Was when you
we
jotted
were
that
supposed
down.
to be asleep.
We're supposed to be asleep.
And didn't we get quiet for a little while? And then you were like, meh.
Yep.
And I was like, that's perfect.
That's exactly what happened. We were like, all right, cool. Like, good night. We need to go to bed now. It's after midnight. Good night. Bye. Rolled over. A full 2.5 minutes later. What have you this? And then Tracy was like,
yep.
Ah!
Yep.
And then we didn't go to sleep for
perfect.
another hour.
Yeah.
Listen,
And then
sleepovers
literally,
are
like, the
gonna
next
be
day I had to.
sleepovers, whether you're 12 or 35. A sleepover's
40.
a sleepover. You're not 40.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Anyway, so that was
Yeah,
that
so
was leading
there's-
us up to November.
Yes.
So we've got the suspense romance.
Uh-huh.
We've got the book I am currently working on, and I'm like 13,000 words in. I didn't think I was that far into it. Which is Delilah Goes to Chicago. The name is not a secret, though I don't think I've announced it.
But it's not like a total from
Yeah.
out of left field kind of
Yeah.
title.
It's book
It's the
3
third
of a
in a
series. Yeah.
Yeah. And they
and I'm-
all follow that theme, so it's not hard to guess. It's basically who's going to where.
Who's going where? Yeah, and I think I'm really excited for Miss Bell's story in that book, and I'm really proud of her character's decisions and what happens with her in that one. And I'm very excited because there's finally going to be a love interest.
My fave.
Which I'm excited because Tracy's excited. And then I'm struggling with Delilah. We figured out Tracy does for me what I do for her, which is sits and we go over character personality and choice and motivations and internal monologue and all of that very important stuff. And so we did that with Delilah and we figured her out, and I can see her from the outside. Can't see her from inside yet. And so I need to get there, and I will the more I write it. It's just been
Yeah. I mean, I had a little bit of trouble with that as well with my romantic suspense, whereas like new characters that you think you've nailed down, and then when you're doing it, you're like, that doesn't feel like it's quite right. And I'm still not getting a sense of who they are the way that you need to. And so it's slowed us down a lot from that perspective.
And then we did a couple of epilogues, which are over on the Patreon, of reading Love is Murder, the worst audiobook you've ever heard in your life, and also the funniest. Because we're hopefully. Honestly, hopefully. Otherwise, stop buying those audiobooks. But it's just the two of us sitting there reading chapters and leaving in most, if not all, of the mistakes and laughing at bits that we forgot we had written, and truly just enjoying the story with you guys, hopefully. And we got back into doing that like a month and a half ago. We did one, and remembered how good it is. And we were like, okay, what's been sitting on the shelf collecting dust is...
And we get a lot of
Kissed or
people
killed.
who are really big fans of that book and want a next one. Like they just want to know some more.
My mom wants the next one.
Hijinks kind of thing. And so
The
we had
Scuba Gang.
already planned a second one.
Yeah.
Planned to write a second one, but didn't have it planned.
We had bits, right? We had bits and pieces. We have the bad guys stuff figured out, but we didn't have the plot figured out yet.
Well, even if you recall, when we put the little sneak peek thing, I don't think we had any sort of plot other than we knew
not
this.
when we did the sneak peek. I mean, like a month and a half ago when we went and dusted it off, we had a little bit to work with. And
so
then
that inspired
found the
us to
rest.
jump back into it.
Yes.
And we've talked more plot, which we still have some stuff that's, kind of
which
floating
we
in
had to do
the
for the
air.
first one. Yeah.
And so, but we've committed to going through and writing it. And when we're both buckled down, where we're like, okay, I did this chapter, it's your turn to do your chapter, then there's a level of accountability that helps us keep going.
Yes.
So
And we like writing together, and the fact that we both have, this is what happened last year when we wrote Love is Murder. We both had other projects that we were doing simultaneously. So when I finish my chapter and it's Tracy's turn to write Kiss or Kill, I can jump over and work on Delilah, and she can jump over and work on her romantic suspense. And I think that helps the writing, because then we can sit together on Discord and write, Well, that's a 2025 thing. Okay. We're cutting it close on time yet again. We've talked about what we've done so far. We've talked about our writing stuff for the rest of this year. Let's do a very small, just like a tiny sneak peek of some of our plans for 2025. We have podcasting plans, obviously. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to take a hiatus for the holidays. But we will be back in January with more consistent episodes because we actually have a schedule now. We've figured it out a little bit. Also consistent writing. And with that comes an idea that Tracy had because she's a genius, which is a Discord server. There are tons, right? There are hundreds of Discord servers for writers, and that's amazing. And if you need to find one, go find one for sure. But we want to do a Barski-Lyn Adventures one, and we want to have set days and times where one or both of us will be on, and we're not going to be chit-chatting, and we're not going to be talking about our projects. We're going to be sprinting. We're going to be writing. And if you need that accountability, if you need to be on at a certain time writing, then we'll be there with you, which will help keep us accountable. And if you're a writer or a cosplayer or a reader or someone working on anything in this community or not, whatever, you can pop on at that time and be working on whatever you're working on. Socials, poetry, art, do whatever you want to do. But if you want that dedicated, everybody's going to hush and we're going to be focused. If you need that, if you want that, we're going to try to get that up and running early next year, probably not right away.
And this is a very specific plan because there are lots of writing discords. There are lots of writing groups that do online writing sessions. But what my goal with it was, there's no extra chat rooms because usually discords have several different categories where you can pop in and you're like, I have questions, or I need help with plotting this and that and the other thing. And those are awesome things to seek out other writers for help on, but I don't want ours to be that. I want it to be this is where where we are just busting our butt to get words out. And that's literally it. I'm planning on having a sprinting channel and then the hangout video channel. And there's some balloons for everybody.
Tracy accidentally made balloons for those listening on the audio. She held up one finger for sprinting and then a second finger and then made balloons. Anyway.
So just simplifying the whole thing, because I love the opportunity to meet with writers and talk things out and plot and help each other out in that way. But there are so many, I don't know about anybody else, but there are a lot of places that I can go to for that. And what I don't have is something that's going to just keep me and everyone accountable, just to bust out the words. Because that's what I'm needing in this season.
Just a straight up 2 or 3 times a week. This is the time. And that creates a habit.
And we we can certainly put in, like here is, a place that we can all meet for, chatting through plot, or here's these other discords that you can check out if you need more of that. But this will just be the accountability, the consistent schedule of like somebody's going to be on at this time or this time, and whoever wants to join can join.
I want to do a shout out. I think you'll have her name off the top of your head better. Jen Woodrum. Just created, they created a new, what is it called?
Pathfinders.
What's their Discord? Pathfinders. A Discord she and another author created to sort of replace Nano for people, which is fantastic. And it has so many resources, and absolutely, if that's what you're looking for, go check it out. You
can find them through their website or on Instagram, Pathwriters or Pathfinders Writing something. I will look it up really quick.
Okay.
So that we have accurate information.
Shout out to them.
And then you can sign up. Yeah.
Because that it's very cool. And I'm signed up and Tracy signed up. And when we need to and want to, we can pop in and utilize that. This is going to be just ever so slightly different, just in terms of there will only be 2 little chats, and one of them will be sprints and one of them will be hangouts that's probably very rarely used. But yeah, so that's a plan for 25. Other stuff going on. We're going to have the Springs Book Bash, April 26th and 27th in Colorado Springs. If you're curious, you can check out my website and you'll find all the details. Tickets are currently up for sale. We've got 70 authors and vendors. So many people. It's going to be amazing. Tracy's coming back for it, which I cannot wait for. We're going to have tables next to each other as always, and we will hopefully have a complete duology for Love is Murder, including special editions, which I really am excited for.
So it's Pathfinders Writing Collective, and you can find them on Instagram. It would probably be the easiest place, but they're
and that's where you can get the links.
That's their
to sign
website
up.
is called pathfinderswritingcollective.com. So you can go sign up and find their Discord, and then whatever other stuff that they have for you, if that's what you're looking for. They have tons of community building Discord channels or chat rooms or whatever in their Discord channel for
lots of resources.
All the support you could possibly need.
So many resources.
So
yeah, there's potential. There's the podcast, potential Discord. We've got the book bash. We're both going to be at Tennessee LitCon in September of next year. I at some point am going to move to Ohio. Still waiting on a month. Don't know what month that's going to happen, but it will be over the summer. And I'm really excited because it's going to be a new adventure, and I'm going to be closer to Tracy, which will be really nice. And we've got some family out there and whatnot. But and then besides that, just books on books on books on books. Hopefully between the two of us, have 3 books close to ready to publish around January time. Again, we are just
3 total,
now,
not 3 apiece.
3 total. That I think I said between the two of us.
Yes, but just clarifying, just in case.
Kiss or Kill, Romantic Suspense, and Delilah Goes to Chicago will hopefully all be released in January, February. And but beyond that, again, we're just finding our groove again. We're finding the schedule. And I want to say real quick, because we do need to sign off here pretty soon, it's okay if you're out of your groove. It's okay for you to have months out of the groove. That's okay. You're allowed to have really staggered, unsteady, impromptu, that's not the word, writing or creating of any kind for that amount of time. That's okay. And we are both kind of go people. Tracy's a homebody, and I'm not, but we both are constantly like doing the things and trying to continue pushing our careers and our lives and our like goals and dreams forward. Is one of the things we connected on most when we first met, was like, this is our passion and we're not stopping. At no point are we stopping, but it is okay to plateau. It is okay to hit a chunk of mountain where you're like,
or
as long as
slow
we're just
down for a season,
staying here for a minute. Yeah.
So you can catch your breath whenever you need to.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to put that out there because I'm one of those people who needs to hear it, because it does feel like a failure if I'm slowing down or catching my breath. And it's, you being here for me and the other people in our community being like, no, that's okay. You're allowed to not publish 6 books in a year. That's all right.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, anyway. All right. Any final thoughts and words for 2024?
Last words.
Any final words?
Barski. I don't have anything.
I think
that was a good
wonderful holiday.
Retrospective, and
I think so too. I'm proud of us.
And
I'm proud of our
encouragement.
listeners.
We're hoping.
We
are hoping.
It's a hoping
that you guys are encouraged by the process, by the things that we've done and learned, that hopefully you won't have to learn the hard way. hopefully we're eliminating the stumbles along the way for you guys. And also we're still working our way through this process and learning and becoming. And so
I said yesterday at a library event where it was like a Q&A with authors, there is no top of the mountain for us. Because every time we get there, we see more mountain. And that's what we want, is we want to keep pushing and keep moving up. And if we do ever hit that peak, then it's like, cool, now we're going to start building.
Throwing people off, and it's just not going to be good.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to check out our Patreons, Barski-Lyn Adventures, something.
Comment,
Patreon.
give us questions, comments, whatever. Tell us we're pretty.
What do you want to see and hear in 2025? We're going to do a lot of author interviews, so tag people who you want to hear about. And like Trace said, tell us we are pretty. We love you all. Happy 2024, and we will see you in the new year.
Thank you so much for tuning in. For more and to check out our after show, The Epilogue, head over to patreon.com/Barski-Lyn Adventures. We'll see you next time.